Story that our Lord gives us today, if you want to picture the setting, it's outside the temple. And there are tax collectors around. One of them, in fact, he called Matthew, and he could even have been looking at Matthew as he was telling the story. And the parade of Pharisees going into the temple will have stopped to listen to what he had to say. He said, like you and I, coming here to Mass this evening, he says, two men went up to the temple to pray. The one, a Pharisee, and by the way, Luke in the Gospel and in the Acts of the Apostles, Pharisees come out very well actually, in general, so there were exceptions obviously. But in general, Pharisees were very well thought of by the people. They were very good men. And many of them, one of them was Gamaliel and another Nicodemus and so forth. But in this instance, he talked about Pharisees that had a particular kind of an attitude. They went up to the temple to pray, and the difference between the Pharisee and the publican, the tax collector, who was despised by everyone. The Pharisee says, I give tithes of all I possess. Thank God I'm not like the rest of people, who do not obey the law, and so forth, and tithing. And the publican would have been listening to this, and he would say, or the tax collector, and he'd say, I do the opposite. I take 10%. I don't give it. I take it. The only difference was, really, that the Pharisee in his prayer, supposedly his prayer always has its object as God, well, the object of the prayer of the Pharisees was himself. Was himself. Thank God the eyes have it in that side of the story. I don't do any harm. I do the best I can. I take care of my family. I get up every morning, go out to work. Or I go out and get the mail and get my pension check, or whatever it is. And all the while, and this is Jesus speaking, this is God's own Son speaking. He describes the other one, who is called a sinner, who gouges money from the people, and so on. And he says, he describes him as he didn't even count himself worthy to raise his eyes. He bowed down and said, O God, be merciful to me, a sinner. And then Jesus, his editorial, he said, that man went down to his home justified rather than the other. Because he who exalts himself, parades himself, will be humbled. And he made a hero out of the villain, as only God, and God only, can do. That man went down to his home justified. So, for you and for me, there is a clear message. And there's in the devotion of Divine Mercy, our Blessed Lord speaks through Sister Faustina, or Saint Faustina, to us on one occasion, and she relayed this, and she says, those who have the greatest need for my mercy have the greatest claim on my mercy. Those who have the greatest need for my mercy have the greatest claim for my mercy. And so I would say to you and to me, the one thing the one thing that we must do, you and I, every day is bow down with that Pharisee toward that day when we cast ourselves into his arms, saying, "O God, be merciful to me, a sinner." Jesus, I entrust my soul to you. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, I trust in you. Please stand.